Okay, then I will start 1700, 5 o'clock here in Germany, the last session here for me. So that's the 5th session with OneDrive group policies, not only for the enterprise. So I'm Hans Brender, I'm an IT influencer. I call it an IT influencer, nobody knows what it is. So I know a lot of the stuff, not only about OneDrive, and I'm working here in Germany as a cloud productivity evangelist. So therefore, yeah, you see all the stuff, and I have to look for the presentation, what we will have there, and look there. Okay. Next year in March, we will have a conference, a Microsoft 365 collaboration conference with Teams, SharePoint, Power Platform. It will still be in Las Vegas in the MGM, 23 to 25 of March. But next year, we have to wait a little bit. And thank you to all the generous sponsors. Without the sponsors, we would not be happen this great conference, this long run. So I'm run since 11 o'clock. That's my 5th presentation. So yes, it's a long run. And if you want to win, you have to go to the raffle and see you have a chance to win 3 Oculus Quest all in one. So perfectly for you to go. And also for the thing, we have some charity information for you. That means donating something for the charity relief funds. That's okay. United Way of International Medical Corps and so on. You can read that. You have to read that if you're not the first entry, but we have to look for. So my presentation is going about the group policies, and that's not a new one. During the last year in Ignite, I have presented in a long run. So there are so many people, hopefully we'll have it also here, but we have to see if it's so much, and if you have some question, and we'll see. It have some new one. It's not the old one, but you see group policies we have in OneDrive also 40 group policies, all includes the stuff. So I do not have to go there. Sorry about that. We have to go and press the button. So who am I? I'm Hans Brender, coming from Germany, 7 years working as an MVP in this stuff, working normally at the cloud productivity here in Germany or in Switzerland or in Austria or wherever the people want to have me. You can reach me via email, LinkedIn, Twitter. Yes, follow me on Twitter. That's a good thing. Or on Facebook, or on Xing, or on Instagram. Not on TikTok. So I have an account there, but there is nothing what you have to do. So normally I should be retired, but it still makes so much fun. And today and all the days before, I'm writing on my bot, but later on I will talk about this one. So the agenda for the next 50 minutes are symbols, the architecture, Groove versus OneDrive. You have to know that. Then it's easier to accept why is there and why is not there. The different sync methods. Then we talk about the OneDrive and Storage Sense group policies. My top 10 group policies, they have been changed a little bit from the Ignite. In the Ignite, I have the long run 800 meters going from the hall where we can eat down to the 10 Windows Cinema 10. That was the biggest one. And I look at the state, 960 attendees, they have no place in there. So I was 300 or 350, and that was the beginning of the stuff. And I saw in the first row, Microsoft is sitting there, and it was okay. But I have some symbols, and you will see that in a few minutes in group policies. So the people want to say, and I make it a lot with Microsoft in the last 20 years. And normally I got some information. I got some information about OneDrive. I got some information about the other stuff we have to do. But after the end of this, I have the question from Microsoft, may we have these presentation? We have to show it our things, because I make it a little bit visible. But starting with the OneDrive symbols, so that's always the same. That's the old symbols. You're coming from the right, that's OneDrive Personal, the next generation sync client. On the left, next generation sync client, you see it in a lighter blue. So that was a thing. In the middle, you see that it's a Groove client. So if you still have SharePoint on premise before 2019, and you want to sync some data, you still have to use the Groove clients. We will have that. But we have symbols. But first, left and right are the same client with several instances. If you come with OneDrive Personal or Consumer, or you go to OneDrive and sync some data from the data there, from Teams and the files. Behind the scene, they are in SharePoint. From OneDrive for Business, from other tenants, you will have the next generation sync client on the left side. In the middle, the Groove client. But now we change it a little bit, so it makes it easier. Now, this is the new symbols we have. Blue and a little bit of gray, white, and you see the old Groove client still available. Yes, you have to see that. So talking about the architecture, and you have to know and run the OneDrive XE. And you see it runs normally in the user's context. That's a different one. And you do not have like the old Groove client in one language. You can install only one language. There are different languages with the Groove client, but in OneDrive, it depends. You have 130 different languages. So you have one engine with several instances to OneDrive, to these group policies, to another tenant, whatever. And you have selective sync, means you can say, I do not want this folder and the files in there. I do not want to have to sync. I call this client enterprise ready, but I have to say 90%, 95%. Because if you have more than these 3 millions or 30 millions of documents you will have on SharePoint, you cannot sync more than 300,000 files. That's a sync engine on your machine is running. It's not what you have on SharePoint. And you have to know that. 300,000 files. And sometimes in the last 3 months during COVID, I have 2 customers. They have the limit more than 300,000 files. And that will become a little bit problem. So enterprise ready, 95%. So the thing is, it's a self-update that you will come not with anything else. It comes with a client. If you establish a synchronized connection and you are there, and then you will see each morning or each day once it looks, is there a new version for me? You have 3 rings. That's the insider ring, if you want to have more updates, but you have it here. That's the first ring. The second ring is the production ring. And the third ring is not the enterprise ring anymore. It's called now deferred ring. So it comes deferred. If you have an application outside, you should do, these people have less internet connection, bad internet connection, and make it also take these guys there into the position to say you are not in the production, you are in the enterprise. That means only 6 versions a year will become and updated by himself. So the sync is going to Office 365 with the exception of SharePoint 2019. I talked to you and you see the installation path. Normally in the user's context, it's run in C users, username, the adapt data, local Microsoft OneDrive. You see also there is a database. It's not an Access database as we have in the past. It's different. But you have a database to sync the data and be in syncing. Sometimes you have to connect that and have to say reset, that it established a new establishment of the new data there. It goes to that. It takes a while, but then you have no sync issues anymore. And all things are stored in blob storage of Microsoft Azure. So you have to know, okay, your sync client is going to SharePoint, it's going to OneDrive for Business, it's going to Teams, whatever. But behind the scene, it's in SharePoint. OneDrive for Business, we see that in a few minutes, is in there. And then after SharePoint, it comes in Microsoft Azure blob storage. But we never see that in a blob storage. You see and have a chance to see there. But we have to go look for the limits. And the Microsoft limit here with this HTTP, the bit.ly call, the first one, is the best one you have to do and have it to in your organization because it's changed a lot. So you see 30 million documents in each library, 300,000, I have not here. The file lengths are still 15 gigabytes due to coronavirus. They have delayed the 100 gig per file. In OneDrive Personal, you have the 100 gig. The file name are still 400 characters, and there's a new article on this limitation that tells you why the 400 characters and how do they count them. So that's very interesting. And no network, no map drives that are not restricted, no authentication proxies you should not have. If you have a newer firewall, it could be that it's running, but Microsoft says still no. And also the libraries you have with the settings. You know, in the past, now I'm going backwards, we have the possibility with a product, old product means that you can check in, check out your code. You check in the morning, code out of your machine, and you work the whole day, you have checked it out. And after that, you say, okay, it's running, it's compiling, going back into this safe and checked it in. So that's the same procedure we have in SharePoint. You can check in, check out. So if you are flying to a long distance flight to, let's say from here in Germany to US, you can do that. But now you can't do that right now. We are not able to go to America. But if you can do that, it's a long time. And now you can say, okay, I want these files with me and checking it out. But that's not a good idea. Nowadays, you can have an established internet connection. It costs a little bit. On the fly, it's okay. And then you still have the possibilities to use the file directly with others. If you are co-authoring the files, you never say check in, check out. That's the old technology, leave it. And that means, yes, always look at the limits because they're changing all right now. So the big picture you see on the right thing, the OneDrive, you only have one OneDrive. That's a personal thing. You have a tenant with all different libraries. We have document libraries. You have OneDrive for business for each user. You have shared with me. And on the left side, you have the Groove client and see what happened with your on-premise version. Means we have different things. The Groove client still SharePoint Server 2007 till 2016. If you have a SharePoint Server 2019, you have the possibility with the group policies to say, hey, I will use my SharePoint Server 2019 and not Office 365 or both. So that's a possibility you have with the Sync client, the new generation, next generation Sync client, also with library protected with IRM that will also be handled with the next generation Sync client. And yes, with the sensitive labels, although that's a newer version of IRM RMS. So that's well done. And several people, most of the people in my blog, and I see the questions and all the answers are shared with me. So the short version, I have it done in the morning with the other sessions if it's not there. You can have and share not only internal, but also external from my OneDrive for Business to other persons. Means, yes, I can sync these data. But if you share something, they only received an email, hey, here is a thing, and you can click on that and the browser opens and you can handle the data. But most of the people have, I want to do it tomorrow again. I have to search in my email and Outlook and listen and click on it. And I have to, the same procedure everywhere. Would it be better to have it synchronize these data on my machine? Easy part. But the thing is, you should not share the file, you should share the folder. If you want to share one file, you put it in a folder and you share a folder. Then it's possible to see Julian Versuch shared with me this demo with these 3 files, or 2 files and 1 other. Yeah, that's the big thing. Most of the people only want to share one file, but share the file. That's not possible to sync the data. If you put the file in a folder, the folder could be shared, and then I could synchronize the data, click on it, and you have it always on your machine. You never have to search your Outlook again. So synchronize with more than one tenant is also possible. Think all the document libraries 2 times. Yes, there are some numbers. One OneDrive personal, only one, not more. And a lot of tenants you can synchronize, means 9. So in the past that was more, but then recognized, hey, we have no place for all the sync icons. So therefore we have to say there is only one we have in there, one OneDrive, but 9 tenant A to tenant B to tenant C, whatever you want. And the biggest one and the newest one, the king discipline of business-to-business synchronization, means you have here more than one tenant. Here you have a tenant customer with all the stuff I have recognized a few minutes before, and you have another company outside. They are doing the marketing. And we can also have them that they sync the data on her machine. They do not have to have new information. It will be done to a role called inviter in Azure, and you invite the people working here, and they are trusting this tenant, trust this tenant, and we have a campaign, yeah, with the marketing. We have access to this marketing, and although several people from the tenant marketing have effects there. Although with the tenant procurement and so on, you can have all this stuff. The issue is these people you have announced were controlled in our tenant here, and you have the possibility, or these people have the possibility to synchronize the data on your local machine. And they are also recognize, hey, it's there. It could be done automatically. But you could not use MFA. So that's still a thing we want to use here. MFA, it's not possible because then they have no access anymore. And this will be established. Several things I have told you in the last 17 minutes with group policies. No, group policies do not have pictures anymore, but I make some pictures because pictures are living. So if you see there's a computer configuration and a user configuration, and the computer configuration, you see this B2B and an X. That means, yes, there is a group policy that allows you to disable the functionality I ever have spoken with you. So therefore, all these things is handling with the different things. You see here the SharePoint on premise, and you also have a second one. That's our two group policies. We have to handle that. So I make it a little bit visible to make it a little bit clear what's going on. And you see, I talk about a little about these group policies. We have a user configuration, and you say, okay, where are the files? And I have to show you. I want to show you, I got a new employee. It comes on Tuesday. So in Germany, we have a bank holiday at first. So it comes at second, and you will go to marketing. And my marketing department is not so big because I can do that. I will show you later on what's in there. I will connect him on his new device. It's connected automatically with the library for the Teams people. Means, yes, there's a library for the marketing people, and I will show you what's going on. So now we are going there, put this down, put this message back, and I will show you first where I have my information stored. So you have to look for the group policy editor that's on your machine. You are going to put here group. You can test it in your environment. You do not have to use Intune. You do not have to use System Center or something else. First, test your slides here in the first environment, and then you decide. So we see that, but here we have OneDrive, but you need the ADMX file. And where is it? You don't find it on a Microsoft site. It comes with each update. So first we have to look for that, where it's stored normally. So we have it in different location, and I have to look for that. Normally, you will have it on this PC in the users configuration. You see users, app data, local, Microsoft, OneDrive. If you look there, then you find all the information, all those installation files, all the files. But it depends. And there are two choices. You can install on the machine as a machine installation. Then it looks like here. I am here the user, that's the user files. But on a different one, if you have OneDrive Personal installed and use the vault function, it will automatically split to a different location. So here we also have the logs and the settings and so on, but we don't need that. We need the file and look for the ADMX files. That's a separate one we have to see. That's here. And now you see that's with the PC, local program files, x86, sorry, and Microsoft OneDrive. And then you see the newest version. I'm an insider here. That means my insider version is now 20064. And here, if you double click on that, then you find the localization version. So many languages, 126, I think. I told you a few minutes before. And you see also that's not a language ADM. That is the ADMX and ADML files. That's the newest one, which each update, you only have to say, okay, it will automatically install, and you will hold automatically all languages, and automatically you have the newest ADMX, ADML files. So the ADMX file comes to the profiles installation of Windows, and the ADML files means I can install it also in German or other languages. Means yes. In the past, I have some problems because the documentation was good for English, but the documentation was wrong for Dutch. That was also wrong for the Spanish, the French, and all the installation because the team double translate several things. So if you open it in a German version, I cannot find any of the group policies. So I have to say to the Microsoft people, you have to translate it not twice, you have to translate it only once. Take it as it is, because the family who has this stuff has translated it by himself. And now you have it, and it is possible to have all the languages. Means 3 weeks, Microsoft has to do a lot of things. But anyway, it's okay. And that means you need the ADML. If you have it in the right one and have it in the right position, that's the newest one. Unfortunately, we do not have versioning about these files. So for me, it's always, is there a new version? Yeah, is there a new version? Because sometimes you have the new version before Microsoft is talking about the new versions. So that's the thing we want to have. And then we can start with the group policies. Then you see in the templates that you have in the computer configuration a lot of things. And you see there are 2 we have installed. First, we have to see OneDrive files on demand. So if you look here, your client, and I have to take the right one, clicking on the right thing, wait a second, and look for the settings, and look for, what do I want to show? I want to show the version. I want to show OneDrive files on demand. Sorry. 5th session. This is okay. You see, OneDrive files on demand is selected but grayed out. Normally, it's always on for the first time, but the people can disable it. Means all the information come down to the PC. So if you do not want to do that you want to have it always the files were downloaded, but only the file name and the information about that, and not the content, it takes no space on your machine. So you can automatically, then you should, although that the people could not say, I do not want it, and use OneDrive files as on demand as enabled. So that's the first one. Yeah. So that's the thing. And we see although prompt users when they delete multiple OneDrive files on their local computer. So that is a thing that you have to say, hey, what is that? That's a group policy. We want to see it later, but I want to open it and see, hey, what's there? You can have it on Windows 7 and up to then, although on the server. Yes, you can install OneDrive, although on the server, but you have to be an account for them. Otherwise, it will not sync on a server. And you see there is a number possible from 1 to 100,000. Means if somebody will delete a structure, if it's only in the cloud, and he says, okay, that's a root, I want to delete that. I don't need that. It will delete the files in the cloud too. That could be a lot of files. Therefore, it will have an answer. It pops up and says, hey, are you sure you want to delete that? And it depends what values you are integrating. I also work with this machine, that's a Surface, on the couch in the evening, and therefore sometimes I delete myself something, and therefore I do it in a low number. If I delete more than 10 files simultaneously. I delete a folder. It pops up and says, hey, are you sure? And you must say, yes, I want to do that. It's in red. It pops up here on these things on the client, and therefore you have to do it. If you say, okay, I want to go tomorrow, I want to do and take some holidays. We cannot do some holidays here in Germany, only inside Germany, not outside. But if I want to do that, I can say, okay, I press a button, delete, let's say 500 files and close the laptop because it's delete very quick. And I do not look for this thing. I will have no chance that would not be deleted also after I come back from holidays, because I have to push the button. And that means it's a description that you have the choice to say, oh, that's wrong, not so many files. Therefore, you could say, okay, how many files? Normally, there I have 200, but I press it to 2 to show them, and it works very well. So that's our tool we have here for administrative templates or computer configuration. But also you have the OneDrive configuration. And therefore, we want to show you configure team size library. That's the marketing guide. We want to do that. And if you open that, that is done. I have it enabled and I have to show, hey, there's a value name, MBF Connect, and also a long thing in there. You see, that's a long value, and where do they come from? And I will show you what you have to do. First, we have to look. This library I want to connect you automatically as a new member could not be if there are more than 1,000 in there. So the devices you have to do, if I have 2 devices for the marketing slides, okay, then it's count 2. If I have only 50, it works. If I have 1,000, it works. But think about, you cannot say, hey, we have a site with documents about HR. And HR has more. If you have more than 1,000 employees, means 1,000 devices, you cannot use this function. That's one. The second one is you have to at least Windows 10 1709 or later. That means you have at least this one. The third one is that you can have this stuff, but you have to wait. That's not a instruction. Means you have to wait 8 hours. Maximum time. And the fourth, if there are more than 5,000 files in it, it will also say it will not work. It's critical. The most important thing is it will not work immediately. You have to wait. And look, in the past, there's still the value name and the value. And several people come to me and say, it doesn't work. So I have to wait 8 hours. Yes, I have to wait. Waited 14 hours, 16 hours. It will not work. And I looked for the description at docs.microsoft.com, and it says to me, hey, look, you have to read it very carefully. They do not write it in the right direction. They make the description first, the value, and then the value name. So the people do not read it exactly because, hey, we are reading here from left to right. Yes, I know there are some states they're reading from right to left. So that was the issue. And I talked to Microsoft and say, hey, change it. It's all those. It's correct. It's correct description, but the people make the wrong choice. If you take this value, this tenant ID in this field, it will not work. And they have done it. And since then, I never had a choice. But where do I get the tenant ID of this library? And therefore, I have to look also in a different one. I have to open this one. And we do not use this one. We have to use first. You have to do it as an administrator. That means, yes, I have to see that, and hopefully I will get the information. I have to go to SharePoint, and I have to split off and see that in SharePoint. You have to go to the direction, to the right library. That means, yes, I see it. I have it installed here and then show you that's the library I want to have it for the marketing guy. So now I have to say, hey, that's right. I only want to see and click the sync button. That's an easy part. The sync button, click on it, And now it opens. You do not have to do. If you are a user, that's the only way what we have to do. Go to the library, go to the web part, and now click on the sync button. And then you click on the open, that is okay, and then the sync starts. But we want to do that, and several people do not find the right library. Therefore, you see this one. I do not have to use that one. You see this pop up, and you see also, as an administrator, there is a copy library ID. I have done it. You don't see anything. And now you have to say, I start Notepad. And I start although this one. And you see that's a tenant ID, and after the tenant ID, you see there is a site ID, and all the way you have the web ID and so on. So I do not want to show you the complete stuff, but you take that, what you have in your thing, you sync here, open it, and say, okay, here's a value name, and I put the value from the tenant ID completely in there. Done. Give him a name and press the OK button and wait. Normally, it doesn't take 8 hours, but it depends on the current configuration. Means in my situation, I always have 1.5 hours, and then they're there. If you have also files on demand enabled, nothing is there. If you have 3,000 documents in there, nothing is controlled. You still have all the data there, but only with local available. That's the function. The cloud available, sorry. And after that, it will work. So that's the thing with this copy library ID. Yeah. So going back to the slides, and that's configure team size library to sync automatically. You can have more than once, but still 5,000 documents and not more than 1,000 devices. Users if you have only one device. That's a little bit critical to see the stuff. Okay, going on. That was the first one with all these libraries, the demo we had done, and thinking about the libraries here, preventing users from syncing OneDrive personal accounts. So you can do a lot with this stuff with the personal accounts, but sometimes the people have to say, hey, all what you have done in the past with OneDrive accounts, making pictures, synchronizing to the pictures, and then go into your Office 365 account, that doesn't exist anymore. You can also have your devices and have your smartphones with you and have to say, yes, I want to sync directly in my OneDrive for Business. Perfect, that works. Therefore, we do not need that. And if you have allowed in the past for the people that you use the OneDrive, the personal, their consumer account, you can say, sorry, people, because you cannot control what the people are thinking with this stuff. And therefore, you can say, okay, I want to prevent users from syncing their personal OneDrive accounts. It doesn't say, hey, it goes wrong. People only lose the synchronization with them, the sync client on the machine, and their personal OneDrive account. That's all. You have to inform the people, but it will never happen that nothing goes wrong or something else. So they have a lot of all these group policies. Group policies you can have and talk, hold the day. That's not an easy part. For example, enable automatic upload bandwidth management for OneDrive. Includes the Windows 10 features that was enabled with the latest update, I think 1909. And although the other people, we have to see what's happened there. Thinking about require users to confirm large delete operations. We have talked about that. We have a group policy that the sync client update ring. I talked also about that. Means yes, insider, production, or enterprise. No, it doesn't have enterprise ring. It has deferred ring. It will delay it a little bit. And also about these non-folder move. Now we talk about PC backup. Silently move all the data from your documents, from your desktop, and from the pictures folder automatically. If they move it to the folders in OneDrive, but they leave something. That means you have to redirect folders, you have to establish normally, and then you can say, okay, we want to move it. There are several functionality, group policies there to make it happen that not all people of your company will do it now. Normally the people do that. You can say do it with an email, they can do it. It's only 10 or 20%, but then you have to say, okay, again, after 14 days, do it. Okay, maybe now 50%, and the rest you have to say, okay, now we do it for you and move the data silently in the background so that not all the people come together at the first time. That's okay, but what's about pictures? Pictures, okay, that's in there. But what about the folder music? It's not in there. If you are not working in the music industry, that's not working. But thinking about videos, yes, videos, yes, they have to be in a different thing, means to stream. But if you want to share it with outside, you have to do it in a different way. Therefore, it could be that you have the videos to your OneDrive for Business. So now it's not possible. You have to display, but we will have a new functionality. Yesterday in the keynote, Omar Shaheen showed it. That is although that you have linked to them. So then it will also in your OneDrive for Business and have the data of your videos in the videos folder. Let's add, and then it's done. So the Microsoft makes it available now, but you have to see that. So with the Windows credentials, if you have the last two things with OneDrive, you see there is a OneDrive location in a hybrid environment, or you have a specified SharePoint server. That means SharePoint server 2019. Yes, then you can have both the SharePoint server, and if you have also an Office 365, you can also specify the hybrid location. Use OneDrive files on demand. We have spoken about that. Warn users who are low on disk space. Oh, yes. If people don't make you realize they don't have any idea what's behind the scene. Therefore, you can warn the users. They can also warn and say, yes, warning for download such things. And also a warning, we do not download because you have no space anymore. But we can do it a little bit better. That I talked to you, prompt users when deleting multiple files. But we can also have, in the newest version, with storage sense group policies. Have nothing to do in the first thing about things we also have in OneDrive. You found it in Windows 10 in the group policies, although automatically. You do not have to install add ADMX. So that's a thing. I think 6 files we need to install, or 6 parts, and it's very easy to do that. But I make it more easy for you. I put all things together in 10 group policies to control Windows 10 devices and OneDrive. Means, yes, some comes from Windows Storage Sense, some comes from OneDrive. So that's my thing that I have to say, what's the best thing. So first you have to install, and you can read it later on. Take your smartphone for the next few minutes, and then you make a picture from the slide deck where it starts, and you see and can read it in carefully. So you see here the word, and I have to say the low disk space or some other things to say that's a storage sense thing called on or not called on. Allow storage sense. That's only a thing you have to do it. And that means, yes, if you go in Windows 10 settings, you can configure such things also, but not so deep. In the group policies, we have sometimes more choices. Then it means the cadence. And you see the cadence is normally up in during low disk, I have to swing during low free disk space. What does it mean? Where is the number? What is during low free disk space? Microsoft makes it available with each version. Therefore, it's no number. You do not have to look for that. You can ask Microsoft. They don't know that. In each new version, they have a number. That means if you have this free disk space, you can normally work carefully without that. Windows will be longer and longer and slower and slower and slower. And it will not run because the disk is full. So therefore, they decided to make a number in there, and that is a normal number if you have a cadence and say during low disk space. You can also run these functionality daily, weekly, monthly. That's a cadence, how often I do that. The next one is to delete automatically from all your tenant machines with Windows 10 The storage sends temporary files cleanup. That's in settings. But you see here, these files are always deleted. The following files will delete it. Temporary setup files. You can read that. Data system log files. All these stuff will be deleted automatically when you keep this on. The next thing is looking for the recycle bin. Some people, some users have no idea. They are working. They are no IT professionals. They delete the file and think now they have more space. And you and me, we know that's not correct because it's only a move in the recycle bin on the other area. And you have to clean your recycle bin. You can do that now for your customers, for the people, the employees in your companies automatically to say, hey, after this threshold, they will delete. Not automatically. You have to do that. Look for that experience for that. That is also done here. And also downloaded files. If you have some, oh, I have a lot of downloaded files. Therefore, listen to these numbers here, these 5. Do not forget to inform all users about these group policies. People has to know you will clean up a bit of their things in a threshold of days. They will clean because this is old stuff. And therefore, it's not a current folder anymore. People has to realize that. So that's downloadable files. And the last one, so the Germans do not have a word about that. Dehydrate is the wrong word. But first of all, you have to know, hey, what's behind the scene? And therefore, we have to look about this stuff. We can install it here, but you see, that's inside the file allocation system. That means in NTFS, you have a simplified version. If you have a file there, you have a file name type with a picture maybe in it, with attributes and a pointer to the content. Then you have a complete file. It's local available or it's always available. If it's always available with a green bullet, then it's all fine. This will never do anything of the procedures with them. If it's local available, he could do several things automatically to change this to that one. I go back to see that you see the difference. Pointer to content. There are pointer to pointer to pointer, but anyway, yeah, it's on your machine, and if you press the right button, do it manually, right mouse button, and say, okay, I want to dehydrate it manually for the files, it do the same. It kills it because it's synced in the cloud. Yeah, and therefore, okay, it's not only in the cloud, but you have always the file name, the type, and several things on your machine available. So it changed all the files in this from the local available to cloud, but it will stay these files. And that you have to look the differences and show the partners or your employees what they have to do. If they want to have the files on your machine available always, they have to change it to this icon. That's the only thing that these dehydration automatically not will be happen if you have it always available. So the rest of the stuff is easy, and you have to look for the names. There are a lot of questions. I do it in a very quick way. We have the time. Files on demand, I spoke about you, and the download warning, I spoke also with you. That's easy to have these part in there, but you can do that. Download block, that you do not have the disk space. You have to block that. Because it runs down. There are some implementations if you have a folder with me, shared with me, and so on, and it's always available. I can keep your hard disk permanently flooded over. Therefore, we have to look for these things, and they are low on disk space. Therefore, you can block these stuff too. Known folder move. Now the new name is PC backup with these 3 file directions. You have that. You can do that. There are more of them. Not only one group policy. You have to check it out. So now I have to look. I'm in tough. Seems to be working for me. Really, information 17. Is there anything news on monitoring and alerts when the sync client hangs? Not yet. So there is still Microsoft announced that during Ignite, that they control that. But there are also a possibility to say, hey, you can have the preview, but still it's disappointed a little bit. They have no timeline about that. The idea behind the scene is that you have these controlling in front of you. You are, as an admin, can say, okay, I want to see all the status, and you look all the 10,000 users you have on all machines, and then you have one Excel sheet with all the status, with the machine name, with the username, all are in there. And also a field which has errors, sync errors or not sync errors. You can have that, filter it out, and then you can call these users and have to say, hey, Joe, you have an error. And that's a good idea to have it, but I have no timeline when it comes. That means you got the information before sometimes the people see that the client hang. If you have an hanging, could it be different versions, could be different solutions. Normally, if you have too many files, it could be that you have to reset. If the synchronization is not gone between the server and the files, and he's always syncing, it is a reset. There is a command. You can look at the PowerPoint I have, although in my sites, written an article about that. You have to look for reset. So that's it there. And you can also see your tenant ID on the start page of your AAD. That's a more easy way, okay? Yes, there are some things that's not only the tenant ID. The tenant ID is only one. You have to complete to the ID of the settings of your site and the document library. And that's not only the tenant ID. The tenant ID you have on the page, it's only the tenant ID, but you need more completely. And does the storage sense cause data discrepancy between the OneDrive on the PC and the OneDrive web version? No. The web version is only the web version. That's another client if you leak it. If you have a web version, you're looking directly into the cloud. If you look on your machine, it depends because it's not synced or it's synced. And are these sessions being recorded? Yes, they are recorded. You don't have to be there. So now recommendations for me to have all these stuff together. You should also have for OneDrive the MS Tech community blogs. That's for OneDrive. The people talk about different things. They also have a sync up podcast, means each month half an hour with the people directly from the OneDrive group that talked about a little bit about what is going on, what's the best thing, what they have developed and going out. And then you see, hey, I'm on the way. You can read wherever you are on the way going to your work and so on. That's a good stuff for them. So I write both in German and in English language, my blog. You can use that as an alternative because I know a lot of things, but there are more possibilities what you can do. Also look for the roadmap. The roadmap is very interesting. Going to the roadmap, that's here, and to listen and say, okay, I will filter it to OneDrive. And you see here some stuff, 18 are in development, 18 are rolling out, and 21 are launched. But keep care of the date because coronavirus makes it impossible. Sometimes the dates are going to the past and they are not here absolutely correctly. That's not so good, but sometimes I have to go for the team stuff and make it here available and not these people. So on the other hand, I also have some information for people that are working, that are normal as a user working with this stuff and have no idea what OneDrive is talking. You can also have an install later on, a bot. So I'm working on a bot who never is sleeping and he speaks not more than 2 languages. We are now in a phase where it only has 2 languages, but he will know later on more than 50 languages. And the bot always works, it runs in Teams. And you can have the possibility, now you need your smartphone, to request the beta of this stuff if you are running Teams, and we will test it if you are allowed to have it with your employees, that they can have some questions and the OneDrive bot is answering. It's me, not in person, but in bot, and we will work around the globe. Sometimes the people also ask me, hey, what about is there any possibility if something goes wrong and I have to deinstall or I have to lose the configuration or the machine is going wrong and I have to install the new thing? Not all things are automatically. Therefore, I have to say, hey, Microsoft, why do we not save the stuff, the configuration of each Think client? You have it. You have OneDrive for Business or you have OneDrive Personal. That's the same thing. And take the machine name. You can have it more than one, and then you can save or restore it automatically. It's only some small things that you have on the configuration. But if you do the stuff, it's a little bit better. So here's a link to the slides. You can also use the command https bit.ly m365 virtual marathon -HB03. That's the English version. And that's a complete slide deck where you can have it. And yes, all the people leave and have feedback. So you have to say, hey, the speaker was not good. He speaks so quick. Yes, we have only 50 minutes, but you can give the feedback. We need the feedback. We want to be better. That was my last session. Therefore, it could be I will handle since 11 o'clock, all the sessions, but also about the event. We and the organizers have to have feedback. Please vote for the feedback for all this stuff. That was the last one. And I have to say thank you to attend my session. And if you have indeed there, you can also give me some questions if you have one later on. Send me the questions per email. Give me a chance. I still have to work sometime and give me a chance to answer it. You can also do it via LinkedIn. Follow me on Twitter. You got all the news there. And you can do it on Facebook, Xing, or in Instagram. Thank you so much for your question. It's now 1751 here in Germany. And I have to say goodbye. See you next year whenever on the planet. I will stay safe.